From a story about two drivers who wanted to become constructor champions to a story of heartbreak. This is the full detail story about the Red Bull drama in the ASL F1 League. Our story starts at the beginning, when Domi first joined ASL to become a McLaren driver alongside Steam Dan. So, partway into the season, TP for McLaren had left, and McLaren set their sights for a new TP and turned to Toasty Oven Bread, who was a rising star for VCAR. He immediately accepted with open arms, taking the position very joyously. Steam Dan had retired to focus on school, and so he brought in a new driver, Lark Knight, to race alongside Domi. Domi and Lark Knight were both given contract obligations. One that stated that both the drivers needed 8 points in order to secure a contract for the next season. Lark Knight would very easily meet this expectation, but Domi was scared he couldn't, and therefore he moved to Red Bull. Ari had originally joined the ASL server to become a commentator and steward, but they found themselves quickly finding positions as a driver and as the Red Bull TP. They had discussed themselves as very similar to Christian Horner in real life, being very strict, dropping drivers right from the get-go as they did not secure points and were not performing under Ari's expectations. Domi's early stages were very rough, as he could not find himself in points, despite putting in times that were very close to Shadow's, and Shadow leads the drivers and points. So this was very, very odd to see such a top-performing driver not getting points, and this is really where everything started off. Domi couldn't find points for Red Bull either when he made the switch, struggling in Spain, and so did his teammate Zonode. Zonode ended up with a puncture on the last lap of the Spanish Grand Prix and ended up out of points. Zonode continued to struggle for points, and so did Domi, both getting into crashes and barely scoring any points at all, taking Red Bull from once a very top contending team to a team that found itself in P6 in the Constructors. Following the Austria Grand Prix, Domi was demoted down into Tier 2, and people started to notice and started to comment on this fact. King Hassan was the first to mention anything, saying, "Sorry, out of topic, but Domi is Tier 1 material. I don't understand how he's swapped. He's fast." This would be the start of people's comments on Ari's poor decision making. So Hassan wasn't the first to notice. As Sebi said, Ari isn't the problem. He said himself that he wanted to go down to Tier 2. So this was really opening a can of worms. What was the true story here? Did Domi really want to go to Tier 2, or does Ari force him? Ari quickly commented saying, "Y'all, let me do my damn job," showing hostility and anger towards the situation, not happy that people were already making comments about the switch. Ari continued to put back on it, saying if a driver underperforms, they get swapped, continuing to show his harshness and his strictness towards his drivers, not giving any second chances. Due to all the backlash, Ari was forced to make a statement, and a statement he did say. He said, "I said myself he's T1 material. Both of them are. But if results are shit, as they are, someone has to take accountability. If I get the same excuse every race, that's just not gonna do." This is showing more into Red Bull's history, showing how drivers weren't performing to standards, how they weren't scoring points, and Ari wasn't having any of it, describing how they were getting the same excuses, probably those of crash or just unluckiness. But was this the true story? Is that what's really happening, or is there more to it? Following Ari's comments, Domi was able to make a statement out to the public, saying, "I want to state something. I respect Ari as my team principal as well as my fellow teammate Zonode. Zonode massively underperformed, which got him into a tricky position. I, as a friend and as a teammate, wanted to give him one more shot. That's why I've chosen to step down from the highest level to let Zono get back in his form. Ari is nothing wrong, and at first, it is my overreacting. It is all being resolved currently. Domi on recent comments. Showing that he did want to step down. Proving that he was the one that said Ari put me down into tier 2. So why did this start such a big controversy? It's already been stated that Domi wanted to get into T2, and that Ari was fine with it, to let Zonode be the #1 driver. But this is not where our story ends. There's so much more to uncover. Ari made a comment saying, I gave y'all the choice on who to demote. Meaning, Ari made them choose. That he looked at them and said, one of you is getting sacked. One of you is going down to this lower division. All that you choose. So Ari is not at fault at this point. Ari was just doing what he had to do in order to make Red Bull a top performing team. Ari continued these statements by saying both of you were on thin ice, but you were practically begging to be demoted. So what's the real story here? Were they on thin ice? Were they gonna be demoted? Or did Domi say, hey, demote me without any further reason? What's the true story behind all of it? Following this, Domi gave us an answer. One thing that would open up so much. Ari's DMs. You're both T1 material, but I want both of you to give me a proper reason not to demote either one of you. Domi said, it sounds like a different story. What did this mean? Did Ari really force them? Or did Domi really want to go down? What was all of this saying? Other people started to hear wind, starting the hashtag #FireAri, and even one of the most popular people in the server, Toasty Oven Bread, who started the Talking with Toasty podcast, commented saying #FireAri. The backlash was starting to ramp up. People were starting to hear more and more about this story. Merritt commenting, Red Bull is a joke of an organization, unserious team. And this is where everything started to get crazy. Everything went downhill right from here. Ari started to get into the backlash, hearing all of it, started to get to his head saying, y'all just shut the fuck up about it and go on with your day. Showing more harshness, more overreacting about the situation, showing how Ari's downfall was starting to begin. Ari getting more and more annoyed, saying, really fed up with this BS. Even if it is a joke. Shut it, Mo, I'm serious. Bringing in other drivers that weren't even a part of the initial backlash into it. Mo made a picture saying how he had won a prize from a claw machine that looked like a little toast, saying, I'm toast. Showing Toasty being, hey, look, I found you. And Ari was upset by this, saying, shut it, Mo. Was Ari out of control? Is Ari going too far? By commenting and calling out other drivers who did nothing wrong? I think so. Everything was starting to get to Ari. Ari was starting to get out of control, saying, I'm fucking done. Showing how Ari was just getting so heavy-headed about this. How it just wasn't working out for Ari, how Ari thought it was going to happen. The situation started to get heated more, as more and more information was coming out of it. Ari stated, you never had a nice race, mate. Domi said P5 is a bad result, and then Ari said, if you really need someone to stroke your ego, then go find someone else. Showing how Ari had none of it. How Ari wasn't putting up with any of the stuff that Domi was saying. Not defending Domi in any way. Discrediting his own driver. Domi started to get upset, saying, I don't see my ego anywhere in here. And then went on to say, one fucking time, someone say good job to me or my teammate in every fucking aspect of my ASL career. Never someone who led the team said good job. Ari then stated, cause you never did a good job? What the heck, mate? You want me to congratulate you for a P5 when you were in contention for a much better position? These two were heating up. The arguments were getting stronger and stronger. Domi getting more and more upset at Ari for not being a good team leader. And Ari getting more and more upset that Domi was trying to defend himself. Where would this all lead to? What would be the ending of it all? What would happen to Red Bull? Domi kept getting upset, kept putting messages in, expressing how much he was upset at Ari. Saying, I always did my best, never worked, unluckiest driver ever, for fucking sake. And Ari was having none of it, stating, nah, biggest fucking crybaby ever. You can't deal with criticism. You throw a tantrum when I don't congratulate you for finishing middle of the pack. Like, mate, it's not luck anymore. Ari was done. Ari was putting off the chains, not holding back on Domi anymore. Ari was stating what he really meant and what he felt. It was all heating up. The situation was at its peak. Could it get any hotter? Would you believe me if I said it could? Domi had enough. He kept fighting back. He kept trying to prove to Ari that it wasn't his fault, saying, can I predict someone rear-ending me? How could I possibly predict Colabrochi out of nowhere turning into me? Did I give up and cry after that too? No, I kept racing. Did I cry after turn 2? No, I thought of points and team, showing how he kept going, how he wanted to prove to Ari that he was a good driver, and Ari was still having none of it. Ari showing no remorse, showing only the harshness of him. I can't believe it. I can't believe that Ari would give zero credit to his team. What is Ari thinking? Ari just needs to become a better TP, and this could have all been over. But that's not the end. That is not where our story ends. This is only the beginning. Ari then went on to comment, saying how he wasn't going to throw a party for finishing in the midfield. And then Domi said, I did not ask for a party, but I do not want shitty talk for a bad finish too. In Spain, I said it was my fault. And yes, I accepted it. So don't say I can't accept fault too. Domi was having enough of this. Domi kept defending himself and others. Domi was the only one holding on to any hope of his spot back. But Ari shut all of it down. Ari went on to say, all I said was no comment before y'all started to go off at me. If you can't take that, then leave for fuck's sake. Showing the tension, the inner team drama in the Red Bull, showing how there was zero support on either side. Domi went on to say, I came to defend Zonod. He had a poor race result, and you started arguing and yelling at him. Like I said in message above, I am a team driver. I don't fight alone. Domi keeps looking out for Zonod. But where is Zonod to defend Domi? Nowhere to be seen. Here Zonod is. Domi said, you could tell us something or add on a small critic. Wanting feedback. Zonod came in saying constructive feedback. Ari said, answer me this. Was I able to watch the full race the last 2 weeks? Zonod said negative, positive, positive. Call me shit. Zonod was starting to get into it. Domi was starting to get into it, and Ari was getting into it. What would the ending be? How would this end? ASL owner LarkKnight23 made a comment saying, I think Domi and Ari just both think Domi is underperforming. This demotion is a way for Domi to prove his skill. Y'all need to chill. LarkKnight was taking Ari's side. LarkKnight was proving that he favored his own staff members over a longtime friend, Domi. Toasty would go on to interview Domi and Zonod on his Talking with Toasty podcast, getting more inside information about the whole situation. I won't put any clips here, but you can go watch it on the Talking with Toasty podcast, hosted by the ASL F1 server. I was able to secure an exclusive interview with VCarb team principal Rudy Crazy Legs to get his view on the whole situation. So I am joined here by Rudy Crazy Legs, who is the team principal of VCarb. Rudy, you know a lot about the whole Red Bull drama.
Uh, yes and no. I know quite a bit. I know that there's been a lot of stuff happening around with Dami
Mm-hmm.
and Zonod. I'm not really like too into it because I'm kind of focused on my own team principal roles, but
Mm-hmm.
I am in knowing about it.
If a driver were underperforming, how would you handle that situation? Would you demote them immediately like Ari did, or would you maybe try to work with them, see why they're underperforming?
I would not demote them. I'd get into contact with them, one-on-one contact, talk to them, seeing what's up with how they're driving, and seeing how me as a team principal can improve them as a driver.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if something were to get out about like how bad you were being as a TP, how would you react? Would you go all crazy and start yelling at people like Ari would, or would you like try to calm down the situation? Like, how would you handle that?
If I was getting told that I was a bad TP,
Yeah.
um, to be honest, I'd be a little bit of both, trying to calm the situation down, but also trying to defend my stance as a team principal. But I'd try to focus on trying to calm everyone down about it.
Mm-hmm. And then, what are your thoughts on Ari getting mad at just about anyone that commented on the situation?
Um, I mean, you can't really hate on him too much about it. He's just kind of defending himself with things, but I don't know. I guess some people could see it as overreacting a bit.
All right, thank you so much. I don't think there will ever be an ending of this story until Domi finds peace at another team. But I'm gonna end it here. You've gotten so much of the drama. I thank you all for watching and listening to me rant about this little ASL Red Bull issue. If you have any further private information, please send it to me, Toasty, so I can update the community further about the whole situation. I have been Toasty Evan Bread, and I, for the past 17 minutes, have walked you through the whole Red Bull drama in ASL. I thank you all for watching and hope you all a good week.